Hiya. Welcome to my compound life. Yet another episode of Come Ride With Me at my compound life. So thanks for watching. Please remember to drop a like and subscribe if you do like my content. I'm a new content creator. So really appreciate if you can just drop a like and subscribe. So in this episode, what I want to talk about is taking profit and be patient, right? Because I think when things are progressing great, such as your investment portfolio going up, you might be earning a lot of money from your work, from your job. You might be taking in huge bonuses, etc., right? So one thing to highlight, these are time that this kind of income, they're never fixed, right? You might be earning a huge income right now, and don't have the expectation that in a few years' time you'll also be earning this, right? So that's why I just want to spend a little bit of time to highlight the fact that when you are earning from your investment, it makes a lot of sense for you to reevaluate, right? Am I at the peak of the cycle, right? There's also always the peak and trough of the cycle. Am I in a bull cycle or a bear cycle, or am I entering a bear cycle soon, right? So take into consideration of that. So today's video, we want to quickly chat about, taking profit. Yes, I did make another video about taking profit specifically for Bitcoin, but for any asset class that you likely be dealing with or buying with, taking profit, it's always sensible, right? Certainly for certain asset, maybe some would thought asset class like gold or Bitcoin, it would be a fantastic store of value, right? So that's why I'm buying it and keeping it forever, right? That's also the right approach too, right? But at the same time, if you're kind of like myself that needs to live off my investment, because obviously I have started my investment journey a long time ago, that can afford for me to kind of retire at a slightly earlier age. So every now and then, right, I'll probably need to take some profits, right? And profit taking, of course, is for for my daily expenses and so forth, right? But at the same time, profit taking can also mean I rotate my investment from some of my convicted assets, such as Bitcoin, and I move that, once I've cashed out, I move that cash into investing in other asset that would give me higher return, right? Because obviously we all know that Bitcoin, somehow it follows a 4-year cycle, right? So there are a lot of analysts that are saying that it might not be following 4-year cycle anymore, but what if it does, right? And I still truly believe that Bitcoin will follow that 4-year cycle, because every 4 years there will be the halving event, right, for Bitcoin, where the number of Bitcoin that gets minted or mined after every from each block will be half, right? So for now, for one of the block that gets generated in the Bitcoin network, the miners from the Bitcoin network would get approximately 3.125 Bitcoin. And in 4 years' time, right, one block that gets completed, they'll be getting half of that 3.125 Bitcoin, maybe like a 1.5 Bitcoin. So you can definitely see that the supply side of Bitcoin, it's shrinking, and it will be getting harder and harder to mint, right? So that's why the Bitcoin price goes up over a period of time, right? So knowing that an asset like Bitcoin has that store of value functionality, right? Does it mean we'll never sell? Probably not, at least for my case, right? For some, they'll buy it and hold it forever and pass it on to the kids as opposed to investing in properties, right? But for me, for my case, I'm a little bit different because I like to invest. I like to shift my capital, my cash into faster horses, right? Knowing that we are at the peak of Bitcoin cycle right now, in the bull phase of Bitcoin. And eventually, maybe by next year or end of next year, we would be at the cycle low, right? So for me, someone who are more risk averse, I'm kind of on my way out or taking profits, right? But at the same time, wanted to highlight is take profit doesn't mean you be completely out of the market, because I still have a huge position in Bitcoin. I'm just taking profit so that I can shift my investment a little bit, use the money for my daily expenses, take the family for holiday, etc. Right? So it's important for us to recognize that yes, we sometimes need to take profit. We don't really know when to take profit, so that's why I'm taking my profit from a pound cost average approach. And more importantly, where am I rotating the profits, right? So when I first started my investment journey, when I first took profit, right, naturally in my mind I'll be like, what is the next best investment that I want to get into, right? Put it this way, when Bitcoin, crypto, or your equity are at all-time high, a lot of other shares, equity, a lot of these are at its all-time high too, right? So it doesn't mean when you take profit, immediately you need to spend that, right? Just let it settle, let it sit in the account somewhere, preferably in a saving account that has higher interest rate, and let that sit for a longer period of time, right? Because time like this, it always makes sense for you to cash out, be risk averse, and wait to re-enter the market when cycle low, right? So for me, I'm kind of taking the stance that yes, I've got some position in Tesla shares, and knowing that Tesla has a good fundamental, so that's why every now and then, every dips, I'm adding in a small chunk, right? So I'm kind of pound cost averaging into Tesla, right? Because understand that for a longer time frame, Tesla is currently at about $430 a share. Potentially, with a higher conviction on this asset, on this share, I believe, we can go higher, right? At the same time, I've got properties. I'm looking into paying off some of my properties, just so that I don't have to incur too high of an interest. And I am still stashing up cash to make sure that I've got sufficient cash to re-enter the market, right? So don't let the market scares you. right? Because we are now at the bull market, right? And very likely we'll be entering the bear cycle pretty soon. I don't know when, right? But my anticipation would be sometime next year, right? And if that's the case, make sure you do have a plan. Do have a plan to take profit and be out of the market, right? So if you are holding Bitcoin for the long run, right, have high conviction on this asset, right, don't take everything off, right? Because I do believe that Bitcoin will certainly go higher, right? However, if you're into Bitcoin and crypto means altcoin, shitcoins, meme coin, and so forth, right? It's more important to find exit, plan your exit, derisk, so that you don't hold this asset and when the market dips, or when we are going through a bear cycle or a crypto winter, right? So it's important to always hold some cash, but do not FOMO in to chase the next hype, right? Especially now when everything is sky high, right? So the last thing you want to do is to FOMO in again, thinking that, oh, Bitcoin reached certain high. Oh, I have, earned enough in Bitcoin and I'm rotating out, and immediately I'm kind of trying to get my exposure into other altcoins, right? That's the worst thing to do. You gain heaps from your Bitcoin, and then eventually you're rotating into an asset that might not perform in the coming few years, right? So it's important for you to recognize the asset that will perform in the few years, and then you show conviction to it. Okay. Yes. So that's it for my video. It's just a quick notch for everyone to recognize that it's good and always good to take profit, always good to rotate profits into faster performing assets that in the future, or keep a lot of your gains in cash and re-enter when the market dips again, right? I don't mean like a 10 or 5% or 15% dips, right? I'm seriously thinking about re-entering when the market gets into its all-time low, right? That I anticipate will happen sometime next year, right? So yes, thanks for watching, and please hit subscribe and like the video if you find this video useful, and I'll see you soon.